There were once two versions of the same man. One could jump higher than almost anyone on the pitch and score goals that appeared to ignore the laws of physics. The other just walked off a World Cup field for the very last time. This isn't a story about a rivalry between two players. It's about one legend fighting against himself, his peak past versus his declining present. To understand this internal struggle is to understand the actual hidden cost of sustaining athletic greatness. In 2008, a 23-year-old at Manchester United was producing a level of performance that deviated from every established norm for his position. This chart shows the typical scoring range for a winger. For that position, 42 goals in a single season is a massive statistical anomaly. That single season earned him his first Ballon d'Or and a Champions League trophy. His success relied on overwhelming physical attributes, explosive pace, and a vertical leap that consistently placed him above every defender in the air. At this stage, he functioned as a pure physical outlier, relying on maximum output to bypass the need for any tactical conservation or restraint. When he moved to Real Madrid, he entered a period of sustained peak production. He averaged over 1 goal per game across hundreds of matches, maintaining a volume of scoring that set a new standard for elite forwards. This was the only way he could match the output of Lionel Messi at the very summit of the sport. But the numbers tell a story that most fans missed. Even during these record-breaking years, his biological foundation was already beginning to erode. This line graph maps his successful dribbles per 90 minutes. In his first Madrid season, he averaged 3. Within a few years, that rate fell off a cliff, eventually settling at just 1 successful dribble every 135 minutes. The statistics prove that the explosive, wide-playing winger was disappearing. Even a legend cannot outrun the biological clock forever. Ronaldo recognized the loss of his physical explosiveness and made a calculated choice. He didn't try to reclaim his youth, he outsmarted the decline. He moved away from the touchline and transitioned into a centralized, hyper-efficient penalty box finisher, focusing his limited energy on high-value chances. This chart compares his output before and after 30. By changing his spatial habits, he became the first player to score 500 goals after turning 30. He continued to win titles and hit 28 league goals in one season at 40. While the physical signs of aging, stiffer movement and graying hair, were visible on camera, the statistical output remained high. Through this tactical shift, he extended his period of elite production deep into his 30s, stretching his statistical prime years well beyond the normal limits of the sport. But nature will eventually collect its debt. He arrived at his final iteration bearing the full weight of his age and the expectations of a nation. The 2026 World Cup was the final stage, the only trophy left to justify 2 decades of sacrifice. As the tournament began, the mechanics of his reinvention collided with the reality of his age, revealing the true cost of outplaying time. At 41 years old, Cristiano Ronaldo arrived at the 2026 World Cup, facing a physical reality that most athletes of his generation had already escaped. He was carrying the expectations of an entire nation, a country relying on their captain to deliver a miracle, despite the obvious toll of his age. But heavier than the hopes of Portugal was the weight of his own legend. He was stepping onto the pitch to compete against the impossible standard he had set decades earlier. He walked into this final tournament as a survivor. The explosive phenomenon of the past was gone, replaced by an athlete clinging to a final opportunity. The analysts watching him today are blunt, because the numbers offer an objective look at his physical decline. In professional sports, the data rarely hides the truth. This chart shows the baseline of his physical prime. At his peak, he maintained an immense workload, consistently registering over 7 shots, 3 successful dribbles, and 40 passes in a single match. His current performance data shows a sharp contrast. Dribbles and touches have dropped off significantly, and his defensive pressing has effectively vanished. Only his scoring volume remains as a viable contribution. The tactical shift is clear. Without his former pace to create openings, the team must now bring the game to him, relying on crosses and service to put him in a position to finish. We produce these deep dive legacy breakdowns every week. If you value this level of research, subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue telling these stories. He remains at the elite level because he still possesses the one thing age hasn't taken: a relentless instinct to score. He entered the tournament's first major test surrounded by a sense of desperation, with fans and teammates waiting for a sign that he could still dominate. Against Croatia, he found that moment. At 41, he scored his first World Cup knockout goal, proving his finishing ability could still decide a match. That goal provided a brief moment of validation. It allowed the world to believe, if only for a few days, that his veteran presence could overcome his physical limitations. But the celebration was short-lived. This singular highlight only made the eventual reality of his physical decline more difficult to reconcile. That reality arrived in the round of 16 against Spain. They played with a speed and cohesion that acted as a wall Portugal couldn't break. In stoppage time, Mikel Merino scored the only goal of the match, ending Portugal's tournament and Ronaldo's final campaign. When the whistle blew, the finality was absolute. He walked off the pitch for the last time, ending an international career that spanned over 2 decades. The World Cup trophy, the one prize that his lifelong rival famously secured, would remain forever out of his reach. The result mirrored his own admission from the night before, when he confirmed to the world that this would be his final World Cup appearance. This leaves us with a difficult question about his legacy. Which version of Ronaldo defines him? The 23-year-old athlete who broke records with effortless physical power and aerial dominance? Or the 41-year-old who pushed a declining body through 6 World Cups, continuing to compete long after the world told him to retire? His prime was a gift of nature, a rare combination of youth, speed, and raw talent that few humans will ever replicate. But his longevity is a gift of will. Staying at the top for 20 years requires a level of mental discipline that is arguably harder to maintain than physical speed. While youth provides the physical tools for greatness, enduring the decline of those tools is a different kind of achievement. Every great athlete eventually faces 2 careers: the rise to glory and the inevitable fade. Most fans prefer to remember the highlight reels, but the way an athlete handles the end of their career reveals the depth of their character. He could have retired years ago to protect his image, leaving the game while he was still at his peak. Instead, he chose to keep fighting in public, on the world's biggest stage, knowing he might fail. For a champion, accepting that vulnerability is a rare and difficult path. I want to know what you think in the comments. Is his prime his greatest achievement, or is his legacy of endurance more impressive? Next, we're looking at the other side of this rivalry, the man who spent 20 years chasing the same ultimate goal. The tunnel never stops.